our Easter feast is well underway thanks to Takealot, and with our starters done, it's time to get into the mains. And what will I be making, do you ask? Well, I'll be making an Atchar and Harissa honey roast chicken with some sage and Parmesan butter Umbila. Yes, I had to put in my Afro-fusion twist. So if you want to know more about how I make this dish, join me in the kitchen. A special occasion needs a special wine, and that's why I've got our Rhododendron Red, which is going to be pairing perfectly with our chicken. Before we go too far, we need to make sure that we get all the flavors we want into our marinade, and that's where my special flavors come in. I told you guys about an Atchar and Harissa honey-infused roasted chicken, and this is where the fun times come in. I've got some Harissa paste here, which is the base for our dish. It has those beautiful cumin flavors. It's got a North African feel, merging so well with my Atchar. If you are from Joburg, you know we put Atchar on everything. Bodikoteng, komagwinyeng, and now on roast chicken. So let's start by just adding a bit of our Harissa. I already have some lemon juice in there. I've also added a bit of zest because we want to make sure that we've got beautiful flavors from our zinginess from the lemon, and then we also get some sweetness coming from our honey. I grew up eating a lot of different things. Street food is my thing. So Atchar would be used, like I said, in magwinyas. If you don't know what a gwinya is, it's a fat cake. It's basically a dough that's been fried up, and make sure you get that oil. I'm intentional by adding it there. It's fried up to be nice and crispy, and then it has got a nice pillowy interior. But because we're not doing a magwinya today, we're making chicken. We're just taking the flavors of the Atchar and just making sure that they work well with everything else. And now to add our sweetness, we've got some honey. Some people might say, is it necessary to add the honey? Look, it's my recipe. This is how I do it. So I definitely want the honey there. But if you want to replace it with something else, perhaps some maple syrup, that could also work. Just make sure that your combos communicate and that those flavors work well together. I've got a little bit of nutmeg as well as some star anise, and these flavors are going to work so well together. Last, all we have to do is just blend this baby together because we want to make sure that we have the Atchar, which is nice and zingy, and then we also have the sweetness of the honey, but the spices that come from that Harissa. Let's blend this baby up. And this is what we're looking for. Now you want to make sure that you season everything as you go. So we're gonna make sure that at this point, we add our seasoning, some salt. And remember, it is gonna get cooked in the oven anyway, so you don't have to worry about adding too little or too much, just taste it as you go. What I want to do here is, because I'm using some coarse salt, I'm gonna make sure that I blend it up again. This is perfect. Our marinade is ready. Let's get started with the veggies. I've got our butternut. If you want to use pumpkin, you're welcome to. We've got a variety of colors as well here. We've got our red, our green, and our yellow peppers. More than anything, this is for the looks, guys. It has to look gorgeous, just as gorgeous as our sketchbook black collection from Carrol Boys. And our onions. Right, so I'm going to just stack everything up. So I'm not sure if you can notice, I'm creating somewhat of a base here. But before we go too far, I want to make sure that you see that I'm using my chickpeas. And Takealot has the A Lot for Less promotion happening where you can get a lot for less. And chickpeas are one of those items. Just fill this baby up. And then we go in with about a third or half of our marinade. And we're just going to toss everything together. What I like about this marinade, like I said earlier, it's not too runny, so you are making sure that each and every ingredient gets covered with the marinade. Taste as you go, make sure to adjust as you need to. If you want to add a bit more spice, a bit more heat, you're welcome to do so. Make it yours, make it your own, but just make sure you stick to Tumi's basics. Let's just stir this baby through. Our veggies are ready. So I'm going to make sure to finish everything else for you because I don't want you to miss any of these steps. We're going into our chicken now, and since our marinade is already ready, all we need to do is coat our chicken. As you can see, she is beautiful. She's been resting, and now all we have to do is cover her with as much of this marinade as possible, and that's what we're going to do. If you ever need to make more, you can never have too much marinade. You can either rest this chicken overnight and make sure that it actually gets all those flavors absorbed and it marinates for at least 3 hours or overnight. But if you're like me and you're a girl that's on a mission and you want to eat your food, you can still make it right now and then put it straight into the oven and enjoy it. So now we're ensuring that there's flavor all around. The tops, bottoms, left, right, everywhere. Look at that. I feel like this baby is covered all the way up. And because we want to present her beautifully, I'm just gonna flip her back onto this side. And there we go. All that's left now is for me to get my hands washed, put this baby in the oven for about 45 minutes to an hour, and get started on my sides. Did you hear the sound of that? Now that's the sound of a wonderful wine, thanks to the Ridderberg famous red blend. I love it because of its dark chocolate notes, as well as those fruity red fruit flavors, as well as the fact that it pairs so well with spicy food. And that's why we're gonna enjoy it with our chicken. But let me not get too ahead of myself and actually finish up with the side, which is our Parmesan Umbila. If you don't know what Parmesan butter is, it is the best thing you could ever put on Umbila. And to make sure that I elevate it slightly, I'm gonna slice up some of our sage over here to infuse into our butter. And as you can see, yet again, like a knife through butter, the Carrol Boys knife sets are just amazing. And this is our Santuka knife. I'm gonna get our butter, because the idea is we want to infuse the sage flavors with the Parmesan together so that once you enjoy it together, it gives you a flavor combination that is not only delicious, but also nostalgic. So let's just make sure we're melting just a little bit of it. And the idea here is we want to melt the butter and then we add our sage. It's gonna start crackling up. That's because it's infusing. Make sure not to let it burn. Make sure not to let it overcook. We don't want the sage too crispy just yet because it's still gonna go into the oven. I've left half of my butter into the Carrol Boys sketchbook black butter dish because I'm gonna add that a little later. So put that aside. And now that Umbila has cooled down, it's about time for me to make sure I get it grilling. Why? Because growing up, I used to enjoy it as a street food. And how would they do it? On the fire. And that's what we're gonna do now. This is the one part where I like to enjoy hearing the sounds of the sizzle, hearing the husk and those little threads in there burning up. And these things add flavor, smokiness, deliciousness. You understand how I'm building flavor to make sure that our Ridderberg just brings out all the flavors in our dish? That's what I do. This is our last mealie. Do you see how beautiful these mealies are? So different, so beautiful, and so unique, just like us here in South Africa. And now that our mealies are done, I need to put our Parmesan batter on top of them and put these babies in the oven. So let's make sure to add the last part of our butter, because I only added half of it. Now we're adding the other half. Whether you call it Umbila, whether you call it Boni, either way, all I know is that it is delicious. And I'm gonna add just a touch of salt, because even though our Parmesan is also slightly salted, we don't wanna over-salt it, but Umbila needs that salt because it's literally plain, so it needs something to elevate its flavor. Our butter is ready. Let's brush this over. That. Do your best to get as much of the sage onto the mealies, because the idea is, as it cooks, it infuses even more into the actual mealie. I'm sure my grandma would be very proud of me right now. With my girl, I taught you well. And she did. I mean, look at this. I've taken a staple, a classic, something that we enjoy back in our days, at our homes, in our streets, and I've put an Afro-fusion twist to it. Sprinkle a bit of fresh sage on top of here, and then our Parmesan. Isn't this gorgeous, guys? That's enough cheese. And our Carrol Boys flow cooking set makes adding the remaining butter even easier with this lip on the side. And then we're just gonna add these babies into the oven and get our chicken out. she gorgeous? It smells amazing. I wish you guys were here in this kitchen. But what I love about Carrol, boys, is that she's got you covered in every way possible. We're talking glassware, we're talking cookware, and dinnerware. And that's what we're about to do now. So let's plate our chicken, and I say cheers to another win.